See, it's that strong. But I guess it's the fact that Magneto synergizes with literally everybody with those like iron bulwarks. And then
if Magneto is in the game, Punisher becomes weaker, is the thing, because you have essentially the 50-50 of Punisher can overload the Meteor M, but if the Magneto is able to come and prove the reaction check pass and rolls a nat 20, you're able to immediately chuck that one shot.
Strange to begin with, to just go for the portal play. Kai's going to be doing a very similar thing. We've seen some really nice Doctor Strange and Eye of Agamotto plays, and for these two, you're expecting a lot. The counter portal was actually going to be used to try to cut off exactly where Team PEPS were looking to fight from, but nothing really came of it.
By Rad to keep the pressure on Phi with the Human Torch, and Healers now is going to be feeling that heat turned onto him. DAP and Beetle both able to come on through, immediately catching onto the win condition. Punisher removed from that side.
It's progressing past the third point, really, making good progression. Fate of both worlds from Lidstrom's going to be used. It's Jeff also going in onto this engagement on top of it.
Lindstrom is able to come and prove the fate of both worlds to give the damage boost to Kaya for the Maelstrom. Takes Larry down. Mid-edge Jeff before he could find his way to the fire pit, but DRP are going to be taking Al.Qadsiah down before they can even take themselves over to that point. Eternal Bond and Psionic Seduction both invested. Healers comes on through with the later Supernova. Eye of Agamotto also comes out from Kaya, catching onto Aura Stealer and Leaf. The Mantis removed through the Solar Resurgence as out surges till Final Judgment clears the space, but can Qadsiah actually find the flip?
Still no progression made from Al.Qadsiah. It was a nice Final Judgment to push people back, and the eliminations are still like in their favor. Now it's just 82% the Peps have managed to get onto the block.
So they can drop down if the pressure becomes too much. Terra Cape comes on through, though, catches Milk Boy. Out goes the Meteor M threat. Suddenly, Hardest is on high alert. He doesn't even need to utilize the full duration of the Kraken impact. He can just find the shots off the Rotterdam.
Yeah, resets not really needed, but the fight is still good now as that 82% is now tricking to 92%. Beetle managing to take out Kaya, so any form of like portal play, not think it's going to be available, but Meteor M now thrown out, taking a lot of the damage with it, but the elimination not quite there. Psionic Seduction from DRP just keeping people away from this objective into the Jeff pickup with the ult. He's only managed to grab one, but he's going to pull him into the fire and flames regardless. Fate of both worlds for Lindstrom, for Al.Qadsiah, trying to keep things contested, but they almost just jumped off at the point. You could see exactly how much Team PEPS are trying to knock them back, but they're still fighting, clambering on to these two vanguards. Kaya just trying to find whatever they can. It's going to be a while before we see the Eye of Agamotto, and Hardest just trying to cut on beyond. Beetle, taken out of the fight, is able to put a portal not only to help him get in, but to add something else to stop Al.Qadsiah taking this fight, but they're able to actually take the point.
Healers comes the Healers, means that the Strange is going to be stabilized by Larry, but the dive bomb stops the Strange from regrouping with his team. He's forced outside of the small room, and Al.Qadsiah capitalized with the Meteor M, stopping any follow-up from the Eye.
Oh man, Beetle was taken out just as the Eye of Agamotto was used. Hardest also using the Kraken's impact, but he's just backed up into a corner. Psionic Seduction, it's not really mattering because this Final Judgment is just shredding through Aura Steelo. 3 ultimates used by Team PEPS. 4 actually with Larry that's managed to at least attempted to kidnap a couple more to throw them into the furnace, but they are able to survive. Al.Qadsiah managing to turn what looked like a pretty bleak fight against them back into a potential overtime switch, with Team PEPS not able to contest.
Al.Qadsiah managing to win that first round. It did look strategies. Gone is the duelist flank Jeff that you would pair up with a Captain America and a Psylocke. Now we get reworks Jeff.
Just this Invisible Woman. Really getting a lot of damage in for free. This was Al.Qadsiah last time. Not really catching all that much with the strategy playing around.
High connection from that Eye of Agamotto. We've also potentially looking for a grab onto Kaya. Out comes the Wolverine. He's not able to find the Vada he's looking for. Has to immediately pop that passive just to make sure that he doesn't go down. Supernova from Al.Qadsiah forces PEPS to make a big step backwards. Hardest is space that he has to work with diminished massively. Kaya gets to use the Eye of Agamotto to punish them when they have to walk back to the point to stop the cap from coming on through, but still no picks.
Nothing's really being done. You can see Al.Qadsiah having to scramble in this fight. It's not even been taken by either team. The invisible boundary is going to try to capitalize on top of Al.Qadsiah's positioning, but final judgment from Till, not afraid to be aggressive. It's not led to any eliminations on the side of Al.Qadsiah, but Team PEPS finding the picks, finding a two-piece with the Eye of Agamotto, and the follow-through.
But we need to see Helis' POV. He's already all the way around the back, but that sets him up to get scout checked by the Wolverine, and Leaf is playing anti-air Logan.
It's a nice switch, and it's almost a little bit of
both sides. Tilt does have that final judgment. Lindstrom with the fate of both worlds can look for the damage boost, but they have to look for the Wolverine first. Leaf is out, finds nothing. Out comes the final judgment. There is the bolster, the damage boost. And Lindstrom is able to keep the Punisher going and going and going, and PEPS are falling beneath the focus bar.
Forced out some pretty big and nice ultimates, 3 of them total from Al.Qadsiah, but the other 3 are evasion. The things that are going to stop him from connecting nicely onto these picks. The hardest is the one that's just holding down the W key, mostly focusing over the Helis that does a terrific job of diving out and surviving.
Yeah, the terrain works against the Punisher. Kaya comes on through with an Eye of Agamotto, but gets Eye of Agamotto in return. Una reverse guard is played, but Helis is able to make sure that his Strange is avenged. Out comes the Supernova. Team PEPS trying to keep themselves on point. Torch dives on out, trying to peel for his invis, but it's not in time. Leaf takes Susan Storm down. The sibling not able to find the saving moment. Larry with an aggressive Eternal Bomb denies the space of Al.Qadsiah's backline. We're playing in thinking that they were safely removed from this fight, and Team PEPS are finding the picks. Al.Qadsiah are down. We go 1-1.
Fitting the theme of today, Moxie, of just very close, looking at of having the advantage, because Helis has been terrific. I'm really impressed with how well he's been doing over on the Human Torch. Might consider swapping over to the Storm from the looks.
So for kill list, it's going to be up to the Punishers to find maximum amounts of value, but given that Al.Qadsiah are already starting with the final judgment, it feels fitting that they're going to be the ones potentially to pick up this first flip. Although Team PEPS might be going for an aggressive tempo play before the final judgment finds its footing.
Team PEPS has taken the point first on all of the maps so far, but Al.Qadsiah forced to use Fate of Both Worlds quite early on. Should be able to Tilt wants to get out early, not realizing that the support ultimates aren't quite available just yet for the strategists. Is going to try to pull it out, break down these Vanguard shields as much as he possibly can, and it is translating into eliminations for them.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Aura Stealer isn't able to put the Invis boundary down in time. The Invis's health bar was plummeting and did not reveal the receive the heal tick. Find the in directly into Al.Qadsiah's team.
Still a bit unfortunate on the timing, setting up the turret as it resurfaces into a low ground hold. Hardest trying to make the most of this change up, and lots of ultimates tackled on top of each other. Hardest though finding the majority of the picks, but still needs to switch this objective over towards Team PEPS' side. Meteor M gonna go in, seeing if he can find a particular cover, and he tries to wait out the shift away from the cloak, but not quite able to get much damage off the back of it anyway. Regardless, Al.Qadsiah are doing a really nice job. Terrific work in keeping hold of this for now as it passes the 80% mark.
Okay, we're going back to that min-max afterwards because that was a lovely utility, but we can't slow down because this fight is not stopping at any point. Eye of Agamotto from PEPS. Al.Qadsiah will be able to live it with the fate of both worlds. The sustain is going to get answered back by Aura Seal, and everyone closed on up in one specific location means a field day for a Mega Hurricane to hit. Till on his turret is not going to be able to survive the storm atop his head, and Team PEPS with the Goddess Boost should be able to finalize these picks coming on through, but Al.Qadsiah's stubbornness has brought them 99%, and unfortunately for PEPS, the writing might be on the wall in the next fight. Tilt's got final judgment.
DRP taking a lot of this initial damage, able to survive for the time being, but the invisible boundary is potentially going to pull Team PEPS into a fight that they really don't want to be taking. The final judgment coming in from Tilt is going to be matched on the other side, and Hardest is the one that finds the eliminations. He finds 5 of them as Team PEPS holding on for this point. Still a way to go, but that's an incredible...
Forced into having to use this invis boundary to keep everyone alive, and that's exactly what the Magneto wants with the the one-shot capability. Leaf kicks things off yet again. Healers tries to mirror the Omega Hurricane at the same time. Leaf goes for the interception, but Healers with the overhold, and both of the Storms survive.
Not really able to do much. A bit of a stalemate. Now pretty much having to be forced into a fight. Eye of Agamotto going to be used. Not quite getting much when it comes to connections, but it does force the invisible boundary out. Meteor M trying to loom down over on the picks, but it's Al.Qadsiah that lose people first, and Peps are finding a lot more off the back of the Psionic Seduction. Hardest 2% away from that final judgment. Going to use it as soon as it's available, and Al.Qadsiah, the fight back was nice, but Team PEPS from 0% against 99 hold on and take the first map.
Okay, we're talking for PEPS. Don't know if they used it early because the Magneto goes for the overhold, trying to just outthink the Cloak and Dagger's utility. And then, the PEPS locked Ultron as a flyer. Psylocke is going to be very happy indeed because Psylocke is your go-to duelist counter to anything in the sky.
It's looking a very dive-centric comp. Is Captain America specifically very good on symbiotic service or just very good full stop?
Very good full stop. Very strong ultimate with Freedom Charge, being able to deny a lot of breakpoints from the other team.
Portal used to scout out some information and even dedicating to just throw off Milk Boy off of the map entirely.
That might actually have
boundary for Larry's winning the line when it comes to being available. Maluki wasn't that far behind either, but hardest finding the pick. It allows everybody else to start dropping for Al.Qadsiah, and the reset is required from the attackers.
They do manage to take down Larry, but Al.Qadsiah's Jarrett dive just has not been able to formulate. Human Torch walking forward and taking a better numbered fight on main.
Yeah, this is aggressive, maybe even a little bit cocky, as the Rage of Ultron is basically backing Al.Qadsiah into a corner. There's not much to do. It's very hard to disengage, but nobody's gone down to force a full reset. It is almost having all 6 ultimates to work with. Supernova from Leaf is going to be the thing that starts it, and it's going to force out the fate of both worlds. There's the Dance of the Butterflies into the backline from Tilt, but looking at the HP bars from Team PEPS, nobody is going even below 90% available. Al.Qadsiah holding on for a good portion of that fight before Leaf actually finds the elimination onto his counterpart on the other side. Invisible boundary from Maluki was available, but left a little bit late to use in this engagement, and progression made from Al.Qadsiah. They're trying to see if they can push the point a little bit more, as Team PEPS have had to get off of this point completely.
Yeah, but they just can't commit. They can't find the damage into the backline. The good news is they've been able to sideline the backline entirely off of that point. So A will get grabbed, but this is all PEPS right now, and that's really bad news for Al.Qadsiah. A composition that
contest happening to stop Al.Qadsiah from snowballing really up to this choke. So much more time has been bought in this place, and Tilt with the Dance of the Butterflies looking to see if they can find an in. So far Team PEPS have been very good at spotting them out, just throwing in some of the damage. Even there Leaf just knowing exactly where Tilt was going to try and jump in, but it doesn't impact anything when it comes to shutting down the damage that's done. A nice 2k found, and the rest of Team PEPS.
Venom has been able to stop PEPS as well, fighting around this corner. It's up to Beetle, the Lone Strain, to try and anchor that position. There goes the Venom Soul Resurgence, going to be invested, but it's beaten back by the Psionic Seduction coming through from Milk Boy. Lindstrom with the Fate of Both Worlds gives the damage boost to both the Kraken Impact and the Feast of the Abyss, but DRP with the Meteor M has absorbed all of the pressure.
Forced back out by the invisible boundary, however. Team PEPS not having ultimates currently, and it's trading picks now as Kaya, doing well to keep fighting, finds himself too, and he's able to get out pretty much scot-free. Leaf on a sliver, 8 HP, he's panicking, he wants some help, and unfortunately the help is on the point that also needs a little bit more assistance. Tilt has found so much value over on his Psylocke, and even though Team PEPS pretty much had him on lockdown at the start.
Scout check, they know that the was a little bit too close for comfort. Artist keeps looking back to see whether he's going to have to peel the Venom dive commitment coming on through, and he gets grabbed. The force physics pulls him a little bit too close, and he gets taken down.
Just as he was about to have that Rage of Ultron online, just to combo it to take some of the attention away, might open up space for Beetle's Eye of Agamotto. Invisible boundary also might be able to sneak in a couple of unsuspecting Al.Qadsiah players past where the payload is for a little bit more space. Rage of Ultron now available as Hardest returns to the fight. Meteor M trying to eat up as much as it can. It was a really good pick before by DRP, but he can't quite connect this time around. Soul Resurgence and the Supernova from Team PEPS trying to hold back this onslaught, this oncoming storm, as Lindstrom has been farming up these Fate of Both Worlds, these Lunar Ultimates, so much more. Kaya not really getting any meaningful damage over on the Feast of the Abyss, but the follow-up is there regardless, and with Helis, he has the Kraken's impact that's just going to keep resetting over and over, and Team PEPS, they're just holding on for dear life, but as soon as Al.Qadsiah get an inclination of momentum, they are able to snowball this map so well.
It's just dealing now with the staggers coming on through from PEPS. Leaf onto the Spider-Man, DRP the Captain America. Hardest actually moves on to the Hela just to have any pick potential without the ultimate cycle coming on through. And Tilt says, no, we've got to shut that down immediately. The Venom and the Psylocke combining to hit the backline before PEPS can find any form of stabilization, and Al.Qadsiah will be able
to... Team PEPS, they didn't have the kind of hardest moments of like a 4K or a 5K like we saw in the last map. In fact, it was like fairly quiet. One final hit that's actually come in from Hardest.
Tilt really was just unleashed. That's when PEPS lost control of that situation. Like you said, Maluki and Lindstrom as well. Their ultimates have been so good. Maluki actually got picked up for this team because of their Invis women. Healers told me. So they're getting to play their staple pick. We'll see whether or not they get to play the game they want to go, as Teleport immediately takes Lindstrom out of the fight.
You know, one of your main strategists as well means that this hold from Al.Qadsiah is going to be tough, but Tilt not only evens up the numbers, but actually gets the advantage. Cena's going to bring, I'll be right back, is it going to bring Tilt is just absolutely sending it through with Kaya.
Tilt literally sent himself through Beetle's own strange portal to get the backline that they correctly assumed were playing away from the portal. As Tilt now gets taken down by Leaf, without that Psylocke, Kaya's follow-up is diminished slightly, as Leaf above that high ground position is able to just keep spamming these players down. Invis boundary has to be forced on the side of Al.Qadsiah just to have the confidence and the heal sustain to be able to put themselves into a recontest situation, but that's exactly what Leaf wants. He's building up to that for a Supernova if PEPS even need it to be able to take control of the situation.
Really good shield has come on to protect Leaf after he gets caught by the Carbon Crush. And we were sort of saying that Team PEPS needed a little bit of that 100 HP to 0 burst damage. And Hardest, with the final judgment, should be the one that's carving through this cake and looking to be the one to try to take this point over the edge. Meteor M was used and it sort of allowed this follow-up. But you gotta say, this combination from Leaf...
Just protect the Punisher. Protect the Punisher turret so that when Al.Qadsiah try and reset themselves into a position, Helis gets taken down immediately to the mag cannon and Punisher pressure.
This feels very like Beetle in just like, yes sir, I've got you sir. He's even got the shield that's coming from the Magneto to really like pocket how much value he can have in this place. But whilst the focus has gone into Hardest, the Supernova up on the sky might be able to, it certainly does, with the connection of DRP, find the backline of Maluki. There was a real problem for Team PEPS when it came to dealing with Al.Qadsiah's snowballing effect, and over on this point, it's looking like they're able to match it in a similar vein. Tilt trying to see if he can dive into the backline, but it's the front line actually that's the one that's causing the more...
The turret just all the way removed from the fight with that damage has been able to build up the final judgment into the Invis boundary. We invade as one Eye of Agamotto was traded for a Force Physics, but it's not enough. Force Physics may stop the Eye, but it doesn't stop the Punisher team up, and that comes on through immediately. Al.Qadsiah try and answer back with an Eye of their own, but it might as well be a speck of dust. Hardest boy.
Rocket Raccoon does have the arm amplifier to work with, and there's the Eternal Bond ready to start this fight. There's the Meteor M trying to find a pick, but it's blocked yet again.
Final judgment comes out. Healers having swapped over to that storm is going to aid 12% damage boost. Team PEPS in high retreat, but it's not enough. Al.Qadsiah chased them down, find one. PEPS
he gets one, huh?
Huge pick. Lindstrom gets taken down, and immediately even without the Punisher, PEPS want to take this fight. Out comes the Supernova. Invis boundary even gets invested too, so that PEPS can consolidate their performances. And now it's up to Healers with the Omega Hurricane to put a stop to the shenanigans of PEPS' side.
Very weird fight. You've got the Bira back, the DRP back into the engagement. They were trying to stall him out. He's able to get a pick. He goes down, but just as we see Larry dive in with the invisible boundary, he's just a few seconds, a split second maybe, just behind on time. But Hardest wants to really put up the ante. Him and Leaf are finding all of the picks, something that they were struggling with on the defense. They're doing a very good job here. The Eye of Agamotto catching on to Leaf at the very least, but that's about it. Kaya is very low on HP, struggling to keep himself up with just this consistent damage that is absolutely churning on through. The final judgment available for Tilt.
That the Magneto has the play. They can't open up with an Eternal Bond into an aggressive final judgment. They need the Meteor Amite first. Leaf finds Healers. DRP manages to find the Cloak and Dagger mid-dash until with final judgment still charged up is taken down. Surely Peps will be able to commit the full push. Al.Qadsiah just have a storm to get out of spawn and potentially try and touch, and it's not to be. Peps with the aggressive play to go first. Al.Qadsiah not wanting to risk the iron.
Almost like an over-dedication in some fights, but when you're at the end of the map for Peps, it's fine to throw whatever you have available at it.
I mean, DRP just getting Magneto through the advance of damage is getting blocked by a Bulwark coming on through, as we'll have to see whether or not a Strange Portal is going to play havoc with the time bank available for the attacker's side. Does anyone fall for this?
Oh, Kaya not this time. Milkboy very glad that it's not 2 for 2. Fool me once and all that jazz. But from what we saw from OGC earlier, we could see a bit of a traversal of the map yet again if Al.Qadsiah can get things going. And that
Fearless though, with that cut-ass boost on that storm, is making it an unfair mirror matchup for the Punisher. Something that Peps have learned. Hardest is faster to the final judgment though, even through the invis boundaries from both teams. He's still finding the damage, especially with the Yon amplifier coming on through. Heals with the Omega Hurricane a little bit later, manages to cut off the disengagement, the bunker position denied for the side of Team PEPS, and Al.Qadsiah should be able to come and prove the picks, which will at least stop taking some percentage from A and moving their way into B. The same 12% damage boost coming on for the Goddess boost. Eye of Agamotto gets pushed off of the high ledge. Everyone from PEPS able to just dance around it. No CC, no opening coming on through for Al.Qadsiah. Psionic Seduction keeps that payload moving. Tilt off of the back of it, tries to take advantage of Peps being forced into the disengage, but the Punisher doesn't find the picks. Instead, it's Leaf with the Omega Hurricane right over the objective before he can get to the second checkpoint. DRP, Beetle all throwing the damage on top of the storm, and it's not the safety of the Eye of the Hurricane that Al.Qadsiah was searching for. They get torn asunder.
it was just holding out for as long as possible, but once that
get into a position where the poke fight goes evenly, so that both teams match ultimate economy, as opposed to it being one-sided to the defense, and all of a sudden Peps are on the back foot for a minute where they have to take
potential. Yeah, looking to be a portal play, but you've seen this a couple of times. Set up the portal to try the turret to battle on the site, but you've also got a turret play up in the sky. It's going to disrupt Team PEPS and break a couple of those bigger cooldowns.
Barely 50%. Hardest already a full heart ahead of him. And out comes Final Judgment before Al.Qadsiah have a single strategist ultimate to look behind.
We're finding Kaya as well, so that main Seraphim shield is not going to be there to stop much of what's about to come in from Hardest. He has been a hero for this team, and considering he wasn't on Punisher at the start of this one, Team PEPS to make this a 2-0 and make their way into playoffs. Al.Qadsiah want to shut this down, bring us to a map 3. Omega Hurricane's going to try to clear the lines for Helis, pulls himself back to the rest of the team, and is going to force out the Seer from Aura Stealer. Still coming over to this mirror back, bringing back anybody that just needs that quick resurrect to bring themselves into the fight. Final Judgment from Tilt in a bit of a low ground position, so at least Leaf can back out a little bit more. Hardest is going to respond in kind as we see the Eye of Agamotto's coming out both sides. Kaya gets stunned, he's able to survive, and all of these ultimates from Al.Qadsiah. The book has been thrown down, the Eye of Agamotto shoved back from Larry, whilst the invisible boundary is going to try to keep them their team alive. The numbers are about even. Hardest is yet again pulling the numbers potentially back into a neutral position for Team Peps to work with. And Kaya just battling on, full charge Maelstrom, bursting out damage, but not leading into any eliminations. It's a real deadlock here with Al.Qadsiah backing off, holding on for a dear life here.
The healers back on the Magic to come back faster. Leaf also back on the Wolverine to grab players and deposit them into Peps' waiting arms. And that's going to be a pick onto both of the Vanguards from Al.Qadsiah. Deprived now. The source officer saying Maluki is not going to be able to build up the invis boundary in time. And Team Peps are finding the turnaround that they so desperately needed. It looked like maybe Al.Qadsiah would be able to turn it around with the last minute defense, but no. Peps closed the door on a potential free.
Domination mode being played out, 99% versus 99% right at the end, and here the overtime push for a second go around Symbiotic Showdown. Good times put up, but still not good enough as Team Peps really getting a feel of the meta now and seeing the likes of Hardest and Leaf really shine